All right, if you are new to Kamado cooking, then you definitely want to save this video. I want to give you my top 5 cooks that you should start with to build your confidence as you go. So each thing I'm going to share with you is going to continue to build your confidence and your level of skill as you build your excitement and also your skill set on your Kamado Joe. So stick around, we're gonna jump into the very first protein that I suggest you cook and a few tips along the way. From my backyard to yours, less hate, more love, good barbecue. All right, the first one is cooking steak. Now, I love cooking steak as a first step on cooking. You could do ribeye, New York strip, and even if you want to do a pork steak, it doesn't really matter, but you want to get a really thick steak. Now, you could do thin and do direct grilling, but what I want to teach you is I want you to get comfortable with indirect cooking and direct cooking. And so on a Kamado, especially a Kamado Joe, you get heat deflectors and you got different levels of cooking. You're gonna lower your heat deflector on the lowest level and put a grill grate over that, and that's what's gonna be the indirect cooking, putting your steak on that side. What we're teaching you is how to manage your fire. It's like fire management 101, but start getting comfortable, and it's super honestly, it's really easy to do. Once you just do it, you go, oh, I get it. So indirect cooking and direct cooking is a skill that you're gaining when you're cooking steak. Get yourself a 1.5 to 2 inch thick steak, season it with salt, pepper, and maybe even garlic. Check out my All Y'all seasoning, a really well balanced SPG. And then you're just gonna put that on that indirect side, and then when it's around 118, put it directly over the fire. Now you're building your confidence of going indirect to direct cooking, and this is teaching you fire management skills. And you've got your control tower up here, you've got your bottom ash vent down here, and this is gonna be something that you're gonna have to get familiar with on dialing in your temperatures. But usually that second notch here and maybe like a pinky width, you know, is on the bottom vent is going to be about 250, and that's a really good setting for doing indirect cooking for steaks. So that is the first step and protein I encourage you to start with to build that confidence. I don't drink soda often, but when I do, I drink Doc. Oh yeah, that's a cherry burst of flavor right in your mouth. Got to get you some. All right, so step 2 or tier 2 of cooking, building your confidence, is cooking chicken. Now we're just continuing to build your confidence, and you might be a little intimidated by cooking poultry, but it's really not a big deal. So what I want you to do is buy yourself a whole chicken. You can even build or purchase even chicken wings or chicken thighs. Those 3 things are great. But if we want to continue to build the skill set and confidence, get yourself a whole chicken. You're going to look for the backbone of this whole chicken, and you're going to take your knife or your kitchen shears, and you're going to cut the backbone out. Then you're going to flip it, and you're going to do a little CPR on it and kind of get it to pop its back on the backbone. Take that out, and then you got a spatchcock chicken right there. This is going to continue to level up your cooking. And then it's also going to teach you how to continue to do indirect to direct cooking. But whole chicken, you can just do it indirect the whole time, although you can definitely do direct cooking the whole chicken and fast track your cooking process and your time. But doing indirect will take you about 60 minutes or so on a whole chicken, and you'll be using your heat deflectors, putting that on there, seasoning it up with your favorite seasoning. Check out Sweet Red Dirt. It's one of my favorites on chicken. I think it really shines, gives it a great flavor and color. Put that over your heat deflectors on your grill grates, let it run. And if you're feeling adventurous, definitely put a sauce on there, a barbecue sauce. I've got a cherry sauce that I think is wonderful, but you can make any sauce you want. You can make Alabama white sauce. You can buy any sauce and baste it once you hit that 150 mark, and then let it caramelize for that last 10 to 15 minutes and take it to like 165, 170. Now, also on chicken, if you're feeling like, you know what, I'm not ready to do a whole chicken, buy yourself some chicken thighs, buy some chicken wings, do the same process. I like cooking chicken at 350 to 400, maybe even 450, where it gets really crispy skin on the outside, but it's still tender on the inside. And that's really key cooking chicken, is getting crispiness on the outside and tender on the inside. And I think it's higher temperature cooking at that between 350 and 450 mark, in my opinion. So that is the second skill level and protein to build your confidence. All right, the third protein that we're getting into is pork tenderloin. This might surprise you, but get yourself a pork tenderloin. This is super easy, and it's really fun and delicious and tender to cook and serve your family. Same thing, you can cut off some of the silver skin, season this with your favorite seasoning. Again, sweet red dirt is a great alternative and gives great flavor on pork as well. Again, we're doing indirect cooking, but I want to give you a variety of different proteins to learn indirect cooking because direct cooking is a skill you need to do, like cooking burgers and hot dogs. I didn't even put that on the list because I'm just thinking that is, well, I say 101, that's like using your Weber, your Weber kettle or any gas grill. You can cook hot dogs and you don't need that as a protein one. So we want to go with steak, chicken, pork tenderloin. We want to kind of increase the quality of meat and expertise and also the variety that you're going to be providing your guests and neighbors and your family. So pork tenderloin is super easy, or a pork loin would just be as good as well. Season it, again, indirect, maybe 275, 300 mark on your grill. And then we're going to take this until like 130 and then baste it with some barbecue sauce until we get to the internal temperature of what we're looking for, which is I think around 145 or so, and then let it rest for 5 minutes. And you've got yourself sliced pork tenderloin that is tender, it's juicy, and it's so flavorful, and it's giving you just another option to serve your family and building that confidence and skill set. All right, the fourth cook, the build up and level up your cooking on a Kamado, is a pork butt. A pork butt is starting to get into that low and slow barbecue. Now, there's a lot of conversations in different forums and YouTube videos about hot and fast versus low and slow. And I think at the end of the day, it's really up to you at what temperature you want to cook your pork butt. And a lot of times it boils down to your time constraint. Like, how much time do you really have? Because if you have a short amount of time, do a hot and fast barbecue. It's still going to produce a fantastic barbecue and pork butt. And at the end of the day, I don't think you're really going to tell a difference if you go real low, slow, like 225 to 300 or even 275 or whatnot. So pork butt is super forgiving. It's super easy. And all you got to do is, to make it easy on you, is take that fat cap, take a knife and score it and make diamond cuts in it, and then just season it with put some mustard as a binder, although you don't even really need a binder, but put mustard on there as a binder, or whatever binder you want to use. W sauce, anything that, hot sauce, it really doesn't matter. And then we are going to set the grill to indirect with 2 heat deflectors, grill grates, and then we are going to smoke it at 275, and we're going to let it ride until we get some good bark formation. And at that point, this is where you can experiment and see what preference you like. We want to spritz it every hour with water and apple cider vinegar, kind of a 50-50 mix, to continue to build on that smoke to adhere, continue to bring moisture to the pork butt. And then around that's usually going to be around 175, 180, but you're looking this is part of interacting with your cook. As you're looking with your eyes, you're feeling if it's dry, then you know it's time to spritz or whatnot. If it's still wet, don't spritz it. Just let it keep on smoking. Again, we're going to add post oak. I forgot to mention this one. I'm going to use post oak, pecan, whatever your favorite wood chunk is. Throw it in your charcoal as well to get that smoky flavor as well. And then we're going to take this until it's probe tender. That's a tip that you're going to hear whenever smoking brisket or pork butt is go to probe tenderness, is taking your thermometer and sticking the meat, and if it goes in like butter, then you know it's ready to take off the grill. And we're going to smoke it between 195 to 205, and sometimes it can take even higher. But let me give you a little tip that I've been doing the past year, is if you know that you need to cook something like tomorrow, and you want to start the process today, do your cook today, get yourself a food warmer, and when it's done cooking, take it off at 190, even 185. Take it off 185, 190, put it in a food warmer at 150, and let it rest. I've let my pork butt rest up to 15 hours, knowing that I needed to serve it the next day at 6 o'clock, but I didn't have time to cook that next day. That is a pro tip. And you could also do that with a meat cooler and wrap it in foil, wrap it in a towel, put it in a cooler. But you'll want to use a thermometer just to make sure you're not going below the danger zone of under 140. But I usually set my warmer to 150, and it keeps me out of the danger zone, but I can just hold that food as long as I need it. So hopefully that's helpful and you're finding value in this video. Be sure to like, subscribe. Let me know which tip you're liking so far, or what question you have as we are getting into the last protein that's going to build your skill set. All right, the last one, the fifth cook, is brisket. This is the king of barbecue. If you go, you know what, I want to do brisket, okay, do some beef ribs. Either way, it's going to give you that just delicious, beefy, smoky barbecue that you dreamed of. It's kind of a lot of ways, like when you think about barbecue, most people think about brisket for the most part. So we want to build that skill, that confidence, and this is why it's made it on the fifth part of the cook, because it feels intimidating. It's a large cut of meat. It can go from 10 pounds to 20 pounds, and then I usually like to buy around 15 to 17 and trim it down 4 pounds or so you still have good fat to meat ratio. And that's the key on a brisket, is you're looking for good marbling when you go to the store, and then you're going to trim off that fat the best you can. And the key here is trimming and rounding off the edges and making it look uniform. There's a lot of videos on YouTube to check out, some tutorials. I even have a few brisket videos on my channel you could check out on the trimming portion. And again, you could use any binder that you want. And then we are going to season it. All you need is salt, pepper, garlic on your brisket. And really you could just even do salt, pepper. But I love using my all y'all seasoning. And then if I'm feeling very fun, I'm going to use all three of my seasoning. It's going to be salt, pepper, garlic. It's going to be sweet red dirt, and then it's going to be Dust Bowl, because it's a big cut of meat. It can handle a lot of seasoning. We're building skill sets, and we are building flavor when we're cooking brisket. So experiment. And I think something that's really important on all these proteins is to make sure you salt brine your meat for a minimum of an hour. You season it, let it sit for an hour. Cooking steak, man, just salt brining an hour or overnight in the fridge is amazing. It just brings out the moisture, sucks it back in, so it makes it more tender and juicy. And the same thing is going to be true of pork butt and brisket as well. So we're going to do the same principle of pork butt. We season it, put it in the smoker, 275, even 250. Use your favorite wood chunk to throw on there. Again, like I said, I like to use post oak, even pecan whenever I'm doing my low and slow cooking. And then we're going to do the same things. Let it smoke for a few hours and then spritz it with water, apple cider vinegar. You could even use beef broth if you want. And then we take it to around 180 where we get some good bark formation. At this point, you could, if you want to beat the stall between your pork butt and your brisket, you can foil it completely, or you could use butcher paper, or even there's a method from Chud's Barbecue where he foil boats it, and I've done that in some of my videos here. and that allows you to get some good color and bark formation, but still speeds up the cook because you get the foil on there, and it's just accepting all that heat and kind of helping you push through the stall. So I encourage you just to experiment on the foil, the butcher paper, or the foil boat method and see what works for you. You can also you can avoid all that and just let it go. If you're not crunched for time, don't worry about it. Just keep it on the grill and let it smoke until it's probe tender with that thermometer, testing it out. And then the key here is letting it rest. Brisket, even more than pork butt, you want to let it rest for minimum of 2 hours, and the food warmer or your ice chest with the towel and the foil and all that stuff. But before you get it to butcher paper for resting, put it in some beef tallow, and then just let that beef tallow just submerge. You can drizzle some on top of the pork butt, also the base of the butcher paper, wrap it up, and then let it sit there for 2 hours. Or even if you're doing a cook next day and you need to have it done, do the food warmer strategy as another hack. And again, I've done this same thing, 12 to 14 hours. I would say that I think the sweet spot's between 8 to 10 if I'm cooking for like a catering. I've kind of learned going 15 hours or longer unless you bring the temperature of the food down before you put it in the food warmer, leave it out room temperature, bring it down to like 150, 160, then let it go to the warmer. That can help it stay at that steady and not overcook is kind of my point. You don't want it to overcook whenever you're resting it. So make sure you do that. Hopefully these are adding value, giving you some ideas, little nuggets along the way. And if you're finding value in this video, be sure to like, subscribe, do all the things. Check out the different Kamado playlist on the channel to level up your cooking, give you some cooking inspiration and some ideas. And from my backyard to yours, less hate, more love, good barbecue. Till next time.